If you haven't never used steel wool, I would highly recommend getting yourself a variety pack. I'm using 00 right here, and I just put some Annie Sloan's dark wax on these details, and then I'm going over it. Make sure that you wear gloves. This is steel wool, and I am buffing it to just make sure that it just stays in the crevices, but I'm wiping it off the rest of the areas. The 00 and the 000 and the 000 are super soft to where they are not going to scratch up your paint, but they're just going to get off any excess wax that you don't want on the surface, and it leaves it right in the groove, so it gives it that really cool accent shaded look. On my pieces with wax, I usually go in with a bigger brush and I apply the wax on, but because I really wanted to get this into each distinct groove, I just went in with a smaller paintbrush and applied that wax, and then I go through with my steel wool, and I could even use probably up to a 0 on this, and it's not going to scratch off. I have a furniture paint on there and then a polyacrylic seal, and then I put the wax on top of that because it's going to glide over the surface of the poly and not get too far into the paint. And so now when I go over with the steel wool, it's going to glide over the top of the surface without scratching that paint off. If you do use a heavier grit like a 1 or a 2, or you're noticing any scratches at all, simply stop what you're doing. That's why you want to get the variety pack and use a softer one like a 00 or a 000. Another amazing use for steel wool is, again, wearing gloves, but I am stripping this table with a chemical stripper to make sure that I can get all the varnish off. And then when I go through with afterwash, my first go-to is steel wool, and it's not the super soft kind that I use when I'm waxing, but it's a harder kind, probably like a 1 or a 2 or a 0, and that helps get off the excess stain varnish and the stripper. So it helps just buff that off and give it kind of a sand, and I can actually put some of the afterwash on it and then scrub it with the steel wool, and it acts kind of like a sponge, but those metal shards in there will grab the stripper and get off the extra residue.